You've been watching YouTube marathons about Adam Vinatieri kicking Super Bowl winning field goals since you were 8 years old. While other kids are dreaming of throwing touchdowns, you're practicing alone in your backyard with a tee. You kick the ball through a makeshift goalpost made from PVC pipes, and for those 3 seconds, when the ball is in the air, the entire world stops. You're either perfect or you're nothing. High school is your showcase. Every Friday night, you're the guy who decides games in the final seconds. You're perfect on extra points, money from 45 yards away, and occasionally you boom one from 50 that has the whole stadium on their feet. College scouts aren't just watching the quarterback, they're watching you. You choose a small state school, not exactly a powerhouse program, but a place where you can develop your craft. You become their all-time leading scorer, hitting kicks that most college kickers can only dream of. Senior year, you know you're NFL ready, but the scouts aren't exactly beating down your door. Small school, unproven conference, questionable competition level. You make a desperate move to get noticed. You film yourself making 10 consecutive field goals from various distances and angles, then look directly into the camera and say 2 words that will define your career. Pick me. The video goes viral in kicking circles, but draft day comes and goes without your name being called. 4 kickers get selected, none of them you. You're crushed, but not defeated. When an NFL team calls offering an undrafted free agent contract, you see the opportunity. They have a veteran kicker who just missed a crucial field goal in the playoffs. There's a job to be won. Training camp is your audition for the most pressure-packed job in professional sports. You're competing against a veteran who has years of experience, but also baggage from big misses. Every kick in practice matters. Every extra point drill is being evaluated. Every field goal attempt from 45 plus yards is a test of your NFL viability. Preseason games are your showcase. You're automatic from every distance, every angle, every situation. Meanwhile, the veteran looks shaky, tentative, human. When final cuts come, they make the decision that will change your life. They keep the undrafted rookie and release the vet. Your first NFL season is a masterpiece of consistency. You make 30 of 33 field goal attempts and all 42 extra points. Your leg strength allows the offense to attempt kicks from distances that used to be automatic punts. Your accuracy gives coaches confidence in situations where they used to play it safe. By year 3, you're historically great. You kick a 61-yard field goal to beat an opponent as time expires. You go an entire season making every kick inside 50 yards. You're rewriting the record books and establishing yourself as the most accurate kicker in NFL history. The fans give you a nickname that captures your legend. You're making impossible kicks look routine. 60-yarders in December, game winners in January, kicks that have no business going through the uprights, but somehow do because you're just that good. Years 4 through 12 are about cementing your legacy as the greatest kicker who ever lived. You make your first Pro Bowl, then your second, then your 5th. You earn first-team All-Pro honors multiple times. You're a weapon that changes how teams play against your squad. Your career achievement comes in your 9th season, a 66-yard field goal that sets the NFL record for the longest kick ever made. Not only do you break the record, but you do it with room to spare. The ball clears the crossbar by 5 yards and lands in the upper deck. It's a statement that you've redefined what's possible at your position. Your career statistics become video game numbers. Over 90% accuracy on field goals, 98.5% on extra points, 1,775 career points across 13 seasons. You hold the NFL record for consecutive field goals made. You're mentioned in the same breath as the greatest kickers in history, except you're better than all of them. Teams start game planning specifically around your leg. They know your team can score from anywhere inside the 50-yard line. Coaches call timeouts to ice you, but it never works. You thrive under pressure. The bigger the moment, the more automatic you become. But here's what nobody warned you about when you're setting records and making history. In the kicking business, perfection isn't sustainable forever. And when it cracks, it shatters completely. Year 13 starts like every other season, with expectations of perfection. You're 35 years old, but still have the strongest leg in the NFL. Your accuracy has never wavered. Your confidence is unshakable. You've made over 90% of your career field goal attempts, the highest percentage in NFL history. Then, the unthinkable happens. You miss 2 field goals in a crucial game. including one that you've made dozens of times before. It's unusual, but not unprecedented. Even the greatest kickers have off days. Your team loses by 3 points, exactly the margin of your missed kicks. The misses keep coming. Week after week, kicks that used to be automatic become adventures. A 46-yarder that's well within your range, a 50-yarder you push wide right. Now people start asking questions. Sports radio hosts wonder if you're losing it. Social media explodes with hot takes about your age and decline. By season's end, your numbers are catastrophic. 22 of 30 field goals made, a 73.3% success rate that ranks among the worst in the league. You've dropped below 90% for your career for the first time ever. The most accurate kicker in NFL history is suddenly one of the worst in the league. Physical mechanics haven't changed. Your leg strength is the same. Your technique looks identical. But something invisible has broken, and you can't figure out what it is. Sports psychologists call it the yips. When muscle memory fails and doubt creeps into movements you've performed flawlessly for thousands of repetitions. You still believe you're elite. After missing crucial kicks, you tell reporters, "I'm still confident. I'm going to go out there and nail every single kick." Part of the way we stay confident is by continuing to work and trust the process. But the process that made you great is somehow broken. The media coverage becomes relentless. Every miss gets analyzed frame by frame. Former kickers on television explain what's wrong with your technique. Fans who cheered your record kick are now calling for your replacement. The same people who called you the GOAT are questioning whether you're washed up. Your coach stands by you publicly. The best option right now is to get him back on point because he is fully capable of doing it. We certainly haven't lost any confidence in him. But privately, you know the organization is concerned. They're not bringing in competition yet, but the conversations are happening. The psychological torture is unlike anything you've experienced. You've built your entire identity around being perfect under pressure. Now pressure feels different. Instead of thriving in big moments, you're thinking about all the ways you can fail. The mind that used to be your greatest asset has become your biggest enemy. You're not injured. You're not old. You're not lazy. You're the same kicker who holds the NFL record for longest field goal and was the most accurate in history just 12 months ago. But none of that matters now because kicking is a mental game disguised as a physical one. Your team's season ends without a playoff berth, and everyone knows your missed kicks were a contributing factor. 6 missed field goals in crucial games, 18 points left on the board, the difference between January football and watching from home. During the offseason, the unthinkable happens. After 13 seasons of a legendary service, your team releases you. The press release is generic, thanking you for your professionalism and contributions. But behind the scenes, whispers emerge of off-field issues, personal conduct problems, an investigation that leads to a suspension. The fall from grace is complete and catastrophic. Not only has your accuracy abandoned you, but your reputation is in shambles. The greatest kicker in NFL history becomes a cautionary tale about how quickly everything can disappear. Not just your skill, but your entire legacy. This is the kicker's reality. You can be perfect for over a decade, set records that will never be broken, and become the most accurate kicker in NFL history. But one bad season, hell, one bad month, combined with personal mistakes, can destroy everything you've built. You watch other positions struggle and get excuses. Quarterbacks have down years and adjustment periods. Receivers have chemistry issues with new quarterbacks. Running backs have poor blocking to blame for bad seasons. But kickers just miss. And when they miss, there's nowhere to hide. No one else to blame. No complex schemes to explain away the failure. You either put the ball through the uprights or you don't. And when you don't, 60,000 people know exactly who's at fault. The most accurate kicker in NFL history reduced to a cautionary tale about how quickly perfection can disappear. The kicker who made the impossible look routine, now making the routine look impossible. The legend whose career ended not just in failure, but in scandal. If you think kickers have it bad, wait until you see what happens to the guy whose only job is giving up. The punter. You're the only player on the field whose job is to give up. While everyone else fights for first downs and touchdowns, you come in when your team has failed. You're the surrender flag made human. Your moment of glory comes when your offense can't get the job done, and somehow you're expected to be perfect under the pressure of disappointment, knowing that one bad punt can flip field position and lose games. You don't get to be a hero, you just get blamed when things go wrong. High school is where you discover your weird talent. You're a backup quarterback or linebacker who happens to have a cannon for a leg. During a blowout game, your coach puts you into punt, and you boom a 65-yarder that pins the other team at their 5-yard line. Suddenly, everyone's paying attention. You develop your craft obsessively, perfecting your drop, your steps, your follow-through, learning to punt left, right, and down the middle, mastering the coffin corner kick that dies at the 2-yard line. By senior year, you're averaging 44 yards per punt with an all-state selection. You choose a major SEC program that promises to develop your NFL potential. Freshman year, you're immediately competing for the starting job. Your punts are booming 50-plus yards regularly, and you're pinning opponents deep consistently. By sophomore year, you're setting school records. Junior year is when you realize you're elite. You average 42 yards per punt for the entire season in the SEC. Numbers that put you in contention for the Ray Guy Award as college football's best punter. You have only 2 punts blocked in 3 seasons. Senior year, you're a consensus All-American and Ray Guy Award finalist. You've mastered every type of punt, the coffin corner, the pooch punt, the line drive into the wind. NFL scouts are calling you a field position weapon and projecting you as a potential mid-round draft pick. Draft day arrives, and you're cautiously optimistic. Punters have been selected as high as the first round before, and your college numbers justify selection. You're not just a punter, you're a specialist who can change games with your leg. Rounds 1 through 6 pass without your name being called. Finally, in round 7, you hear your name called. Not ideal, but you're in. The team that drafts you is rebuilding and sees special teams as a crucial part of field position battles. The contract is small, 7th round money with minimal guarantees, but you're not worried. Great punters have long careers and eventually get paid. You just need to prove you belong. Training camp is your first taste of NFL pressure. Every punt matters. The coaches are timing your hang time, measuring your distance, charting your accuracy. One bad day of practice can plant doubt. 2 bad days can get you cut before you ever see the field. Preseason games are your showcase, but they're also your nightmare. NFL punt coverage is faster and more violent than college. The punt rushers are legitimate pass rushers who can close ground in 1.5 seconds. You have to get the ball off quicker while maintaining distance and accuracy. Your first punt gets partially blocked. Not completely, it still goes 32 yards, but the rush got closer than it should have. The coaching staff exchanges glances. You know you need to be better. Game 2, you bounce back with a 55-yarder that pins the opponent at their 8-yard line. Game 3, you shank 128 yards and it goes out of bounds at the 45. Inconsistency is death for punters. You're either reliable or you're replaceable. You win the starting job and finish your rookie season with respectable numbers. 44 yards per punt, 38% inside the 20-yard line, only 1 blocked. Not spectacular, but solid enough to keep your job. Years 2 through 5 are about establishing yourself as one of the league's elite punters. You're averaging 46+ yards per punt consistently and placing 40% of your kicks inside the 20-yard line. You make your first Pro Bowl as an alternate, then earn your first full selection. But here's the thing about being a punter. Your best work is often invisible. When you pin teams inside the 10-yard line, nobody notices until the other team goes 3 and out and gives your offense great field position. When you boom a 60-yarder in bad weather, it gets mentioned once and forgotten. The pressure is constant and unique. You only get 4 to 6 opportunities per game, and each one matters enormously. A 35-yard shank in the 4th quarter can put the opponent in field goal range. A blocked punt for a touchdown can decide games instantly. You develop elaborate pre-punt routines. Count your steps back from the line. Check the rush lanes. Feel the wind. Signal to your coverage team. Catch the snap. 2 steps. Punt. Pray it doesn't get blocked. Doesn't get shanked. Doesn't get returned for a touchdown. Year 6 becomes your breakout season. You lead the NFL in net punting average, placing 45% of your punts inside the 20-yard line. You make the Pro Bowl and earn All-Pro honors. Most importantly, you're becoming known as one of the most accurate punters in the league. Your career numbers start looking historic. You're averaging 47.4 gross yards per punt across your career, the 6th highest in NFL history. Your net average of 43.5 yards per punt is the highest in NFL history since they started tracking the statistic. Teams start game planning around your leg. They know that when they face your squad, field position battles will be crucial. You're not just punting anymore, you're controlling where drives start and how games flow. The recognition finally comes. Your team makes you the highest paid punter in the league with a 4-year, $16 million extension. $4 million per year to punt a football 4 to 6 times per game. You've reached the pinnacle of your profession. But even at the top of your profession, the reality hits hard. You're the highest paid punter in history, but you make less in 4 years than a decent linebacker makes in 1. Your position is so specialized that only 32 people in the world can do what you do at the highest level, but you're still viewed as just a punter. Your amazing season, leading the league in net average, making the Pro Bowl, earning All-Pro honors, gets reduced to a footnote in your team's season recap. The quarterback who threw 15 interceptions gets more attention than the punter who had a historically great year. You realize that even perfect punting is expected, not celebrated. When you place a ball at the 2-yard line, the credit goes to your coverage team. When you boom a 60-yarder into the wind, it gets mentioned once and forgotten. But when you shank 128 yards, it gets replayed on every highlight reel. The physical toll accumulates differently than other positions. You're not getting hit regularly, but you're performing the same motion hundreds of times per week. Your plant leg aches. Your hip flexors are tight. Your back spasms from the repetitive stress of kicking. You're now in your 8th season with the best punting statistics in NFL history. Your net average is a record that may never be broken. You've been named to multiple Pro Bowls and earned All-Pro recognition. You're the highest paid punter in the league. But you're still the surrenderer flag. Still the player who comes in when your team fails. Still the specialist who gets blamed when things go wrong and ignored when things go right. The most thankless job in the most thankless unit in America's most popular sport. You come in when your team fails, and somehow you're expected to be perfect in the moments when perfection matters most. The loneliest position on the field, performing the most pressure-packed skill in football, for an audience that only remembers your failures and forgets your masterpieces. Even when you're the best who's ever done it, you're still just the guy who gives up. When you were great, nobody noticed. When you were historic, nobody cared. When you were perfect, it was expected. That's why it sucks to be an NFL punter. You're only as good as your worst kick, and your worst kick is the only one anyone remembers. Even if you're the best in history, but if you think that sucks, then you should see what happens when your job is to return punts and kicks. The return specialist. You're the fastest kid in your neighborhood, but that's not why you became a return specialist. You became a return specialist because you saw Deion Sanders on YouTube dance into the end zone and you were hooked. While most kids avoid contact, you run straight toward it at full speed, with no protection, no help, and no guarantee he'll get up afterward. High school is where you discover you have a gift. Not just speed, anyone can run fast. You have vision, the ability to see holes before they open, to make cuts that leave tacklers grasping air, and to turn routine returns into highlight reels. Your junior year, you returned 3 kickoffs for touchdowns. Your senior year, teams start kicking the ball out of bounds rather than let you touch it. College scouts aren't just watching, they're salivating. You're exactly what modern football needs, a game breaker who can flip field position in one play. You choose a major program that promises to showcase your abilities. Freshman year, you're immediately the starting returner. The first college return goes 95 yards for a touchdown on national television. ESPN plays it on loop. You're in the conversation for Special Teams Player of the Year as an 18-year-old. Sophomore year, you set NCAA records, most return yards in a season, most touchdowns by a return specialist. You averaged 32 yards per return, numbers that shouldn't be humanly possible. The Combine is your showcase. You run a 4.3 40, post elite agility numbers, and show hands good enough to play receiver. NFL teams are intrigued by your versatility. Maybe you can return kicks and contribute on offense. Draft day arrives, and you go in the second round to a team that needs a spark in the return game. The contract is solid. Second round money with incentives based on return yards and touchdowns. You're thrilled to be in the NFL, but you have no idea what you're walking into. Training camp is an eye-opener. The first time you field a kickoff in practice, you realize everything is different. These coverage specialists are running 4.4 40s and hitting like linebackers. The collision at the end of your first return feels like a car accident. But you adjust because that's what elite athletes do. You learn to see the field differently, to make quicker decisions, to get north-south faster. By the third preseason game, you're returning kicks with confidence again. Week 1, your first NFL kickoff return is a 28-yard gain to the 45-yard line. Solid field position, no fumbles, no injuries. Everything you want from a rookie return. The coaching staff is pleased. The fans barely notice, which is perfect for a returner. Week 3, you break one. 89 yards for a touchdown, weaving through the entire coverage team like they're standing still. The stadium erupts. Your teammates mob you. SportsCenter leads with your return that night. You're the NFL Special Teams Player of the Week. But Week 5 brings you back to earth. The opposing team has studied your film. They know you like to cut left behind your wedge. They're ready for it. The kick comes down. You make your normal move, and their gunner is waiting. The hit comes from your blind side at full speed. You wake up 3 plays later with no memory of the collision. Concussion protocol. 2 weeks on the sideline. When you come back, you're not the same player. There's a hesitation now, a split second of uncertainty before you make cuts. In the return game, split seconds are the difference between touchdowns and being tackled for loss. Years 2 through 8 are about perfecting the most dangerous art form in professional sports. You become the player that special teams coordinators have nightmares about. Opposing coaches literally tell their kickers to kick the ball into the lake and make sure it sinks to the bottom. You set records that seem impossible. Most career return touchdowns in NFL history. Most in a single season. Most in a single game. You return the opening kickoff of the Super Bowl for a touchdown. The first and only time in Super Bowl history that's ever happened. By year 6, you're not just good. You're a force of nature. You hold NFL records with 20 career return touchdowns. Teams start designing entire game plans around keeping the ball away from you. You've fundamentally changed how special teams operate across the entire league. But here's the thing about being the greatest return specialist in NFL history. Nobody wants to admit that's a real position. When Hall of Fame discussions come up, you're told that return specialists don't play enough snaps, that your impact is too limited, that you need to be consistently great year in, year out, which is exactly what you've been for a decade. Your first year of Hall of Fame eligibility comes and goes. No induction. He needs more time, they say. Let other deserving candidates go first. You watch as players with lesser accomplishments at real positions get enshrined while you wait. Year 2 of eligibility, another snub. This one hurts worse because you thought this would be your year. You made the final 10, then didn't make the cut. The Hall of Fame president explains that you need to be consistently great, as if 20 return touchdowns and 4 All-Pro selections aren't consistent greatness. It destroyed me, you admit later. I cried because you realize the truth. You're being held to an impossible standard. No other position requires players to literally score touchdowns to be considered effective, but as a returner, anything less than a touchdown is seen as ordinary. You think about the other great returners who came before you. Brian Mitchell, who has 23,330 all-purpose yards, second all-time behind only Jerry Rice, one of the greatest receivers ever. He has 19,013 return yards, nearly 8,000 more than you. But he's never even been a Hall of Fame finalist, not once in over a decade of eligibility. Billy White Shoes Johnson, who was named to the NFL's 75th anniversary team, is the only member of that team who is not in the Hall of Fame. He was an all-decade returner twice, in the 1970s and 1980s, still not in Canton. Year 3 of eligibility becomes your moment of truth. The debate about your candidacy lasts over 30 minutes in the selection room, one of the longest discussions of any finalist. Some voters argue that special teams players don't have the same number of touches as position players, but your supporters fight back. They argue that you changed the game, that teams had to completely alter their strategies because of your talent. They point out that you were a field-tilting player who influenced outcomes with limited opportunities. Finally, the votes are counted. You're in. The call comes from a Hall of Famer who drives to your house to deliver the news personally. You've become the first return specialist ever inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. At your induction ceremony, you're emotional about what this means. I always thought it was the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you say. How do you represent the Pro Football Hall of Fame when you only lean towards certain people? But even in your moment of triumph, you know the fight isn't over. You mention the other great returners who deserve recognition. Hopefully, I'm paving the way for other specialists to get the recognition they deserve. You retire after 11 seasons with records that will likely never be broken. Your jersey is retired, your Hall of Fame speech is remembered, and you're finally recognized as one of the greatest players in NFL history. But the fight for respect took everything out of you. 3 years of rejection, of being told your position didn't matter, of watching lesser players get recognized while you waited. The greatest return specialist ever had to prove that return specialists deserved Hall of Fame consideration at all. And what about the other great returners? The one with 19,013 return yards who's still waiting for his first consideration? The all-decade returners who revolutionized special teams but will never get their due? You opened the door, but it may have taken too long. That's the return specialist's reality. You can be the most exciting player on the field, the game changer who makes 60,000 people hold their breath every time you touch the ball. But you'll spend your entire career fighting for the respect that other positions take for granted. You were entertainment in its purest form. Violence and speed and impossible athleticism converging in a few seconds of chaos. And it took the Hall of Fame 57 years to admit that someone who mastered that chaos deserved to be remembered forever. The position that creates the most explosive moments in football, but the last to get the recognition it deserves. You finally broke through. The question is, will anyone follow?